My parents called me the backup kid my whole life. When they needed a kidney, the main kid said no. So did I. The backup was finally off duty. Hey Reddit. So my parents literally called me their backup kid for my entire childhood, treated my older sister like royalty while I got the leftovers of their attention and resources, and then had the audacity to come crawling to me when dear old dad needed a kidney transplant and golden child refused to get tested. Spoiler alert, I said no too. Grab some popcorn because this family drama is about to get spicy. Let me paint you a picture of my childhood. I'm 29 male, and my sister Olivia is 32 female. From the moment I was born, I was basically an insurance policy with legs. My parents didn't have me because they wanted another kid. They had me because they wanted a backup in case something happened to their precious firstborn. They never actually said those exact words when I was little, but kids aren't stupid. You pick up on things. When I was 7, I asked my mom why Olivia got to go to expensive summer camps while I went to the free programs at the community center. Her exact words were, "Well, honey, Olivia is our priority. You're more like our safety net." A safety net. That's what my 7-year-old brain had to process. Not, "We love you both equally," or "Everyone's special in their own way." Nope. Just straight up, "You're the backup plan, kid." My dad was somehow even worse about it. When I was 10, he sat me down for what I thought was going to be a father-son talk. Instead, he explained that Olivia was the one carrying on the family legacy because she was the firstborn and showed real promise. I asked what I was supposed to do, and he patted my head and said, "You're here to support your sister and help out if she ever needs you." 10 years old, and I was already being groomed to be a support system for someone else's dreams. The favoritism wasn't subtle. Olivia got a brand new MacBook Pro for her 13th birthday. One of those sleek ones all her friends had. I got a refurbished laptop from a thrift store when I turned 13. The thing had scratches everywhere, missing keys, and crashed constantly. When I asked why Olivia got a new one and I didn't, my dad said Olivia needed it for her advanced classes, while I could make do. When Olivia wanted to join the traveling soccer team that cost $3,000 a season, my parents found the money. They went to every game, bought her expensive gear, and put a soccer mom bumper sticker on their car. When I wanted to join the debate team that cost $200 in fees, I was told to get a part-time job if I wanted to do expensive extracurriculars. $200 total for the entire year. That's what my intellectual development was worth to them. So I got a job at 14, working weekends at a grocery store. I'd wake up at 6 on Saturday mornings, work until 3, then do homework until midnight. My parents took 30% of every paycheck for household contributions, while Olivia didn't pay a dime. When I complained, my dad said I should be grateful they were teaching me about responsibility. Meanwhile, Olivia was learning about responsibility by having everything paid for. I remember when I saved $300 from my grocery store job to buy a used guitar. I'd wanted to learn for years, and I finally had enough. I came home excited, and my dad looked at it like I'd brought home trash. "You spent $300 on that?" he said. "I saved for 3 months," I replied. "That money should have gone toward your college fund," my mom chimed in. "Olivia's putting all her graduation money into savings. Why can't you be more like your sister?" Olivia's graduation money that they'd matched dollar for dollar, by the way. When I graduated high school, they gave me a $50 savings bond. They made me return the guitar. Said I was being irresponsible. 2 months later, they bought Olivia a professional photography setup that cost over $2,000 because she mentioned wanting to try it as a hobby. She used it twice. Birthday parties were another slap in the face. Olivia's Sweet 16 was this massive event at a rented venue with a DJ, catering, and about 100 guests. When I turned 16, they took me to a chain restaurant and gave me a card with $20 in it. I asked why Olivia got a party, and I didn't. My mom said they'd already done the big party thing and didn't want to repeat it. When I pushed back, my dad said I needed to stop comparing myself to Olivia and be grateful for what I had. What I had was a growing understanding that I was never going to be a priority in this house. College was where things really got insulting. Olivia went to a private university that cost $60,000 a year. My parents paid every cent, bought her a car, furnished her apartment, and sent her monthly spending money. She graduated with a degree in communications and zero debt, which she used to bounce between finding myself jobs while living in an apartment my parents subsidized. When I got my acceptance letter to the same university, I was excited. I'd worked for a 3.9 GPA and got in. I thought maybe this would make them see me as equal to Olivia. My dad barely looked up from his newspaper. "That's nice, but you know we can't afford that." "You afforded it for Olivia," I pointed out. "That was different. We'd planned for Olivia's education for years. We made commitments. What about commitments to me? My mom sighed like I was being difficult. We invested in Olivia's future because she was our first priority. That doesn't mean we don't love you. Just that you love her more, I said. My dad finally put down his newspaper. Don't be dramatic. We're offering to help with community college and books. That's more than a lot of parents do. So I'm being punished because I was born second? Nobody's being punished, my mom said. Olivia had more potential academically. I have a higher GPA than she ever did. My voice went up. I work harder, I study more, I actually care about my education. What more do you want from me? My dad stood up. Life isn't fair. The sooner you learn that, the better off you'll be. We'll help with community college. Take it or leave it. So I put myself through school. Worked full-time overnight shifts at a warehouse while taking classes during the day. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., 4 nights a week, lifting boxes and loading trucks. Then I'd drive to campus, pound coffee, and try to stay awake through lectures. Lived in the cheapest apartment I could find, with 3 roommates who thought rent was optional. I ate ramen and peanut butter sandwiches for most meals. Lost 20 pounds my first semester because I couldn't afford enough food. I got sick a lot. Stress, exhaustion, poor nutrition. Ended up in the student health center twice with severe infections because I couldn't afford to miss work. There were nights when I'd be so tired I'd fall asleep standing up in the warehouse. I'd catch myself nodding off and have to slap my own face to wake up. My supervisor caught me once and threatened to fire me. I begged for another chance, explained I was putting myself through college. Why don't your parents help? He asked. They're helping my sister, I said. He didn't have a response to that. By my junior year, I'd gotten into a rhythm. Still exhausted, but managing to maintain a 3.7 GPA. I was proud of that. Proud that I'd made it work despite everything. My parents didn't contribute a single dollar, but they showed up to my graduation and took pictures, like they'd been supportive the whole time. Olivia didn't even come. She was on a trip to Bali that our parents paid for because she'd been stressed from work. I graduated with honors in finance, had a job lined up, and my parents' response was a text that said, "Congrats, dinner next month?" They took Olivia to a surprise party when she graduated, rented a private room, invited 50 people, had a cake that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. The difference was so obvious, it would have been funny if it wasn't my life. After college, I kept my distance. Not full no contact, but I wasn't showing up for every family dinner or pretending we were some tight-knit unit. I built my own life, focused on my career, and tried to make peace with the fact that some parents just suck at treating their kids equally. I did well for myself. Really well, actually. Worked my way up to a senior analyst position, bought my own place, and built a life I was proud of. No help from them. No loans. No safety net. Just me grinding it out every single day. Meanwhile, Olivia bounced from job to job, went through 3 career changes that my parents funded with various courses and certifications, and eventually landed in what she called freelance consulting, which was code for barely employed, but parents pay my rent. Every few months, my mom would call and drop hints about how I should help out my sister or be there for family. I'd politely deflect and change the subject. I wasn't falling for that trap. I'd spent my whole childhood being the backup. I wasn't going to spend my adulthood being the ATM. Then, about 8 months ago, my dad started having health problems. Started feeling tired all the time. Noticed swelling in his legs. Wasn't bouncing back from normal stuff. He ignored it for weeks because he's one of those guys who thinks doctors are for weak people. Finally, my mom dragged him in for a checkup. Kidney disease. Pretty advanced, too. His kidneys were functioning at about 20% capacity, and the doctors said he'd need dialysis soon, and eventually a transplant. The whole family got called in for a meeting at their house, which should have been my first warning sign that something bad was coming. My mom was crying before we even sat down. My dad looked smaller somehow, like the diagnosis had physically shrunk him. Olivia was on her phone half paying attention, which was pretty on brand for her. I felt bad for my dad despite everything. Kidney disease sucks, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. The doctor had explained that the best outcomes came from living donors, preferably family members. My mom went off on this whole speech about how we need to come together as a family, and this is what family does for each other. I nodded along, figuring they'd need support during dialysis and hospital visits. I could do that much. Then my dad cleared his throat and looked directly at Olivia. "We need you to get tested to see if you're a match." The room went quiet. Olivia looked up from her phone like she'd just been told she had to do her own laundry for the first time. "Tested for what?" "To donate a kidney," my mom said, reaching for Olivia's hand. The doctors said you're the best candidate since you're young and healthy and family. Olivia literally recoiled, pulled her hand back like my mom had offered her a live snake. Wait, you want me to give you one of my kidneys? My dad nodded, looking hopeful. Sweetheart, the doctor said with a living donor from family. My chances of... No. Olivia cut him off. Just straight up no, with zero hesitation. My parents looked like she'd slapped them. My mom started crying harder. Olivia, honey, please just think about... I said no. Olivia stood up, grabbing her purse. I'm not doing surgery. I'm not giving up an organ. I have a life. I have plans. This is crazy that you'd even ask me. Plans? My dad's voice cracked. What plans are more important than saving my life? Olivia headed for the door. I'm planning a trip to Greece in 3 months. I'm not going to be recovering from surgery. And honestly, this whole thing is just really heavy and I can't deal with it right now. I'll think about it. She left, just walked out while my mom sobbed, and my dad sat there looking destroyed. I sat frozen, trying to process what just happened. The golden child, the priority, the one they'd invested everything in, had just said no without even pretending to consider it. My mom turned to me, mascara running down her face. Here it comes, I thought. And I was right. You'll get tested, won't you? She wasn't really asking. It was more like she was informing me of my duty. You're a match, you have to be. You're his son. There it was. The backup plan was being activated. Olivia taps out, so now it's my turn to step up. Like I'd been sitting on the bench waiting for my moment to be useful. I need to think about it, I said, which was not the answer she wanted. My dad actually scoffed. Think about what? I'm your father. I need a kidney. You get tested. The entitlement was stunning. Not, would you consider? Or, we'd be grateful if you'd think about it. Just a straight-up command from the man who'd called me a safety net and treated me like a second-class citizen my entire life. This is a major surgery, I said slowly. It's not like donating blood. I could have complications. I'd need recovery time. I need to consider all of that. My mom's tears dried up real quick, replaced by anger. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? Your father is dying and you need to think about it? I almost laughed again. That same bitter laugh from when I was 18 and found out I was the backup plan for college funding too. Everything you've done for me? You want to list that out? Because I've got a pretty different list of everything you didn't do for me. Don't you dare, my dad started. But I was done. I'll think about it, I repeated. I'm not saying no. I'm saying I need time to consider a major medical procedure. That's reasonable. I left before it could turn into a screaming match. Drove home in a daze, my mind racing. Part of me felt guilty. This was my dad's life we were talking about. But another part of me, the part that remembered every slight and every moment of favoritism, was asking why I should risk my health for people who'd never put me first. Over the next few days, the pressure campaign started. My mom called 6 times a day, leaving crying voicemails about how I was killing my father. She sent me articles about kidney donation, like I hadn't already done my own research. She had my aunt call me, then my grandmother, then random family friends I hadn't spoken to in years. The message was always the same. Family takes care of family, and he's your father, and how can you be so selfish? Nobody mentioned that Olivia had refused outright. Nobody asked about my concerns or my health. It was just assumed that because I was the backup kid, I'd come through when the main plan failed. I did my research, read every article, talked to actual transplant doctors, learned about the risks. Kidney donation is major surgery with real complications. Blood clots, infections, hernias, chronic pain. Some donors end up with kidney disease themselves years later. The recovery is brutal. 6 weeks minimum, sometimes longer. And there's always the chance that your remaining kidney could fail. The statistics weren't comforting. About 1 in 3,000 donors die from the surgery itself. 1 in 3 experiences some complication. 20% deal with long-term issues. I spent hours reading donor stories online. Some people had beautiful experiences. They felt fulfilled, grateful they could help. Those stories made me feel like garbage for hesitating. But then I'd read the other stories. People who donated and ended up with chronic pain. People whose remaining kidney started failing years later. People who felt pressured into donation and regretted it. People who gave an organ to family members who went right back to treating them poorly after recovery. One story stuck with me. A woman donated a kidney to her sister, had complications during surgery, ended up with nerve damage. She said the physical pain was nothing compared to realizing her family expected her to be grateful for the opportunity to suffer for them. That's what got me thinking. What would happen after I donated? Would my parents suddenly value me? Would this erase a lifetime of being second best? Or would they take my kidney and go right back to treating me like the backup kid? I knew the answer. I'd always known it. The guilt was crushing, though. Every phone call from my mom was like a knife. She'd cry about how dad was deteriorating on dialysis, how tired he was, how the treatments made him sick. She'd send pictures of him looking weak and frail. My extended family got involved too. My uncle called me at work. Your dad's dying and you won't even get tested? What kind of son are you? I explained I wasn't comfortable with the risks. Risks? He scoffed. You're young and healthy. Stop being selfish. Did Olivia get this call? I asked. Silence. He hung up, but the calls kept coming. My grandmother, my aunt, random cousins I barely knew. Everyone had an opinion about what I should do with my body. Nobody asked about my concerns or my health. I'd lie awake at night sometimes, imagining my dad's funeral, imagining everyone blaming me, imagining being the villain in the family story forever. But then I'd remember being 7 and being called a safety net, being 10 and being told Olivia was the priority, being 15 and having to return the guitar I'd saved for, being 18 and being denied the same education my sister got. The breaking point came when I was talking to a work friend about the situation. Jamie listened to the quick version. So wait, Jamie said. They want you to have major surgery for a dad who treated you badly your whole life? And your sister already said no, but all the pressure's on you? Yeah, that's insane. You don't owe them your kidney. But he's my dad. If I don't do it and he dies, he won't die. Jamie cut me off. He's on the transplant list. He'll get a kidney. It might take time, but that's what the system is for. You're not his only option. You're just his preferred option because they're used to you being the one who sacrifices. That hit hard. They were used to me sacrificing, used to me being the responsible one, and they'd never appreciated it. What would they do if you weren't here? Jamie asked. If you didn't exist, they'd just wait for the list like everyone else, right? Right. So let them wait. You didn't cause his kidney disease. You don't have to solve it by cutting yourself open. I went home that night and really thought about it. Jamie was right. If I wasn't around, my dad would be in the exact same situation, waiting on the transplant list. My existence didn't create an obligation. The next day, I made my decision. No to the testing, no to the donation, no to being the backup plan one more time. I called Olivia, curious what her reasoning was. She picked up on the fourth ring, sounding annoyed that I was interrupting her yoga class or brunch or whatever. What's up? I wanted to talk about Dad, I said. She groaned. Mom already tried this. I'm not changing my mind. I'm not asking you to change your mind. I just want to understand why you said no so quickly. There was a pause. Because it's my body and I don't want to cut it open and give away an organ? Is that not reason enough? Fair, I said. But they paid for your entire life. Your school, your apartment, your car, everything. You don't feel like you owe them? Olivia laughed, and it sounded genuine. Owe them? They chose to have kids. They chose to invest in me. That was their decision, not mine. I didn't ask to be born, and I definitely didn't sign a contract promising my organs in exchange for college tuition. The logic was sound, even if it was harsh. Mom's losing her mind. Dad, too. Let them. Olivia sounded unbothered. They'll figure something out. They always do. And honestly, little brother, you should say no, too. Don't let them guilt you into this. That caught me off guard. You think I should refuse? I think you should do what's best for you, she said. They treated you like garbage our whole lives. You don't owe them your kidney just because you share DNA? She hung up before I could respond. I sat there holding the phone, realizing that Olivia had just said out loud what I'd been thinking but hadn't wanted to admit. She was selfish and self-centered, sure, but she wasn't wrong. The next family meeting happened 4 days later. My mom had called it, insisting I come to the house. When I arrived, my dad was on the couch looking worse than last time. The dialysis was taking a toll. My mom's eyes were puffy from crying. Olivia wasn't there, which tracked. Did you think about it? My mom asked before I'd even sat down. I did, I said. I thought about it a lot, actually. And? My dad leaned forward, looking hopeful. I took a breath. This was going to go nuclear, but I'd made my decision. I'm not getting tested. The silence was deafening. My mom's face went through about 5 different emotions before landing on rage. Excuse me? I'm not getting tested to be a donor, I repeated. I've thought about it carefully, considered the risks, and I'm not comfortable with the procedure. My dad's face turned an alarming shade of red. You selfish piece of... Don't. I held up my hand. Don't call me selfish when you've treated me like a backup plan my entire life. Don't act betrayed when you literally told me as a child that I existed to support Olivia. That's not. We never. My mom sputtered. Mom, you called me a safety net when I was 7 years old. Dad told me Olivia was the priority, and I was here to help out. You funded her entire life while making me work for scraps. You had me pay rent as a teenager while she lived free. You sent her to private university while I got community college and a night shift at a warehouse. We gave you a home, my dad shouted. We fed you, clothed you, raised you. That's called being a parent, I shot back. That's the bare minimum. You don't get credit for doing what you're legally required to do. And you did it while constantly reminding me that I was less important than Olivia. My mom was full-on sobbing now. How can you do this to us? He's your father. He's dying. He's on a transplant list, I corrected. He'll get a kidney eventually. It might take time, but people wait for kidneys every day. The wait list could be years. My dad stood up, shaking. I could die waiting. You'd really let your father die because of some childhood grudges? These aren't grudges, Dad. This is a lifetime of being treated like I didn't matter. And now, only now, when you need something from me, suddenly I'm supposed to step up? Where was this energy when I needed help with college? Where was this family loyalty when I was working overnight shifts to afford textbooks? We did our best, my mom cried. No, you did your best for Olivia. You did the bare minimum for me. And that's fine. You made your choices. But now I'm making mine. My dad stumbled toward me, and for a second I thought he might take a swing. Instead, he just stood there, breathing hard. If you don't do this, you're dead to me. You understand? You'll never be part of this family again. I'd expected this threat, honestly. It still hurt hearing it out loud, but I'd prepared for it. Okay, that one word seemed to break something in him. He'd expected me to crumble, to cave under the threat of disownment. When I didn't, he didn't know what to do. Okay, my mom repeated. Just, okay? You'd throw away your whole family? You threw me away a long time ago, I said quietly. You just didn't realize it because you kept me around as a backup plan. Well, I'm resigning from that position, effective immediately. I stood up to leave. My mom grabbed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong. Please, I'm begging you. We'll do anything. We'll make up for everything, I swear. Just please save your father. I gently removed her hand. If you wanted me to be a loyal son who'd sacrifice anything for family, you should have treated me like family when I was growing up. You don't get to cash in on bonds you never bothered to build. You're a monster, my dad said, his voice hollow. No, I replied. I'm just not your backup plan anymore. I walked out of that house and didn't look back. My phone started blowing up immediately. Texts from my mom, calls from relatives, even a Facebook message from a cousin I hadn't spoken to since we were kids. Everyone had an opinion about my terrible decision. The messages ranged from manipulative to hostile. My mom sent voice memos of her crying. My dad sent one text, "You're killing me." My grandmother left a voicemail calling me heartless. The social media campaign was brutal. My mom posted a vague Facebook status about when family lets you down in your darkest hour. The comments rolled in, people offering prayers, asking what horrible person would abandon family. I wanted to comment, "Ask Olivia," but I didn't. Let them think what they wanted. One cousin, Brian, texted me privately. Hey man, I heard what's going on. Just wanted to say I get it. Your parents have always been weird about you and Olivia. That was validating. Someone else had noticed. Someone else had seen it. The guilt hit hard that first week. I'm not going to pretend it didn't. Part of me wondered if I was being vindictive, if I was letting childhood resentment cloud my judgment. I had nightmares where I showed up to his funeral and everyone blamed me. In one nightmare, I was standing at the funeral and my mom was giving a eulogy, talking about how my dad had needed his family, and his family had failed him. Everyone in the church turned to stare at me, their faces full of disgust. I woke up in a cold sweat. The nightmares kept coming. Different scenarios, same theme, my dad dying and it being my fault. I stopped sleeping well, started losing weight, my work performance slipped. My boss asked if everything was okay. Family stuff, I said vaguely. But then I'd remember being 10 and being told I was just here to support my sister. I'd remember working myself to exhaustion while Olivia got handed everything. I'd remember every dismissal, every comparison, every moment where they made it clear I was less than. My mom tried everything. She showed up at my apartment crying, begging me to reconsider. I watched through the peephole as she knocked for 10 minutes before leaving. She sent letters. She had my grandmother call repeatedly. She sent me a particularly manipulative email detailing every nice thing they'd ever done for me. Remember when we took you to Disney World? Remember the bike for Christmas? Basic parenting stuff. Literally the minimum. But she framed it like I owed them an eternal debt. The email ended with, "After all we've done for you, this is how you repay us? By letting your father die? I pray you never have children who treat you this way. I deleted it without responding. My uncle showed up at my work, walked right into my office building and sat in the lobby until I came down. Out on the sidewalk, he launched into a speech about family loyalty, about how disappointed my grandfather would be, about how I was throwing away my soul. Olivia said no too, I pointed out. Olivia's always been selfish, he countered. You're better than her, which is why this is so disappointing. So I'm being punished for being the good kid? You're being asked to be the good kid one more time. No, I'm being asked to risk my health for people who never put my health first. I'm being asked to save a man who told me I was less important than my sister. I'm being asked to do something Olivia refused, but somehow I'm the only one getting harassed. He didn't have a response. Tried to argue for a few more minutes, then left. But here's the thing they didn't want to acknowledge. Olivia had said no first. Without hesitation, without any soul searching. She just declined. But somehow, all the family pressure was on me. All the guilt trips, all the manipulation, they all came to me. Because I was the backup plan. And backup plans don't get to say no. Except I did. I said no, and I meant it. About 6 weeks after my decision, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Normally, I'd let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. Is this Jake? A woman's voice I didn't know. Yes? This is Patricia from the transplant center. Your father's name came up on the donor list. We found a match from a deceased donor. I nearly dropped the phone. You found a kidney? Yes. The surgery is scheduled for tomorrow morning. I'm calling his emergency contacts to let them know. I was still on the emergency contact list. That was almost funny. Will he be okay? The kidney is a good match. Barring complications, we expect a positive outcome. I thought you'd want to know. I thanked her and hung up. Then I sat on my couch for about 20 minutes just processing. He was getting a kidney. From someone who'd already died. Someone who'd checked the organ donor box on their license. And given my dad a second chance at life. No family drama required. No guilt trips necessary. Just the regular transplant system working exactly as it's supposed to. I didn't go to the hospital. Didn't call to check in. My decision was made and I was sticking with it. But I did feel a weight lift off my shoulders, knowing that he was getting help, and I didn't have to be the one providing it. The surgery went well, according to the family rumor mill, that still tried to keep me in the loop. My dad was recovering, the kidney was functioning, and his prognosis was good. My mom posted on Facebook about miracles and prayers answered, with no mention of how both of her children had refused to help. About 3 months post-surgery, I got a letter in the mail. Real, actual mail with a stamp and everything. It was from my dad. The letter was 5 pages long, handwritten and rambling. The first 3 pages were all about his health journey, the surgery, how grateful he was to be alive. Standard stuff. Page 4 was where it got interesting. He wrote that his near-death experience had given him perspective and made him realize what's truly important. He wrote that he understood why I'd said no, that he'd perhaps not been the best father, and that he hoped we could move past this difficult chapter. Perhaps not been the best father. That was his apology for a lifetime of making me feel worthless. Page 5 was the real kicker. He wrote that now that he was healthy again, he hoped we could rebuild our relationship. Family dinners, holidays together, making new memories. And then, in the last paragraph, he mentioned that since I'd done well for myself financially, maybe I could help Olivia out since she was struggling with rent. I read that last part 3 times to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. The man nearly died, got a second chance at life, wrote me a letter about perspective and family, and still ended it by asking me to financially support my sister. The backup plan never ends, apparently. I was just supposed to shift from organ donor to ATM. I didn't write back, didn't call, didn't acknowledge the letter at all. What was there to say? He'd learned nothing. They'd learned nothing. In their minds, I was still just the backup kid who existed to make their lives easier. My mom tried a different approach a few weeks later. She called from a new number that I stupidly answered. Honey, I miss you. Can we please just talk? We're talking right now, I pointed out. I mean really talk. In person. Maybe lunch? I almost said no outright, but curiosity got me. What would we talk about? Us. Our family. Healing. She paused. And I wanted to apologize. Really apologize for how we treated you growing up. That got my attention. Okay, I'll meet you for lunch. We met at a casual restaurant near my office. My mom showed up looking older than I remembered, more fragile. The whole kidney crisis had aged her. She hugged me when she saw me, and I let her, feeling awkward. We ordered food and made small talk for about 10 minutes before she got to the real reason for the lunch. I've been doing a lot of thinking since your father's surgery. Yeah? About our family. About how we raised you and Olivia differently. She dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. I want you to know that we never meant to make you feel less important. But I was less important, I said. You told me that explicitly, multiple times. She winced. We thought we were being practical. Olivia was our first, and we invested heavily in her because we thought she had the most potential. You were always so independent, so self-sufficient. We thought you'd be fine without as much support. So you're saying I was punished for being self-sufficient? That's the logic? It wasn't punishment, she started. Mom, you made me pay rent at 18 while Olivia lived free. You funded her private university while I worked night shifts. You bought her a car, paid her insurance, subsidized her lifestyle. You called me a safety net to my face when I was a child. How is any of that not treating me as less important? She was crying now, but I didn't feel bad. These were tears she should have cried 20 years ago when she was making these choices. I know we messed up, she whispered. I know we failed you, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. She looked up. Okay? Yeah. Okay. I accept your apology. I took a bite of my sandwich. Doesn't change anything, but I accept it. What do you mean it doesn't change anything? I mean, I'm still not interested in being part of this family. You're apologizing now because you need me to forgive you, not because you've actually changed. If I hadn't said no to the kidney donation, would we be having this lunch? Would you be apologizing? She opened her mouth, then closed it. We both knew the answer. I appreciate the apology, really, but I've built a good life without you guys. I have friends who treat me with respect. I have a career I'm proud of. I don't need parents who only valued me when they needed something from me. We're your family, she said desperately. You're my biological relatives, I corrected. Family is supposed to love you unconditionally, support you, treat you as valuable. You guys loved me conditionally, supported Olivia, and treated me as backup. So no, you're not my family. Not anymore. I left money for my half of the meal and walked out. She called after me, but I kept walking. That was 8 months ago. I haven't spoken to either of my parents since. Olivia sends me the occasional meme on Instagram, which is the most relationship we've ever had anyway. My extended family still tries to guilt me through the grapevine, but I've gotten good at ignoring it. My dad's healthy. His new kidney is working great. He posts on Facebook about his second chance at life, about not taking things for granted, about family being everything. Never mentions that both his kids refused to help him. Never mentions how that might have been karmic justice for how he raised us. I'm doing great. Got a promotion at work. Started dating someone who thinks it's insane that my parents called me their backup kid. I'm looking at buying a bigger place, maybe getting a dog, building the life I want with people who actually value me. Sometimes people ask if I regret my decision, if I feel guilty that I refuse to donate. The answer is no, and I'll tell you why. I didn't refuse to save my dad's life. I refused to risk my health and well-being for people who spent my entire childhood making it clear I didn't matter as much as my sister. I refused to set myself on fire to keep warm people who wouldn't share their jacket with me when I was cold. My dad got his kidney through the proper channels, the system that exists exactly for situations like this. He survived. He's healthy. No family drama required. And I learned that the backup plan gets to clock out sometimes. Actually, the backup plan gets to quit entirely if the job sucks bad enough. Some people will call me heartless. Some will say I should have risen above my childhood and been the bigger person. Some will say family is family, and you help no matter what. To those people I say, you're welcome to give your kidney to someone who treated you like garbage your whole life. I'll be over here living my best life with 2 functioning kidneys and 0 guilt. The backup kid is officially off duty. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.